tuning in to the Human Training Your Dog is Begging You For podcast. I'm Charles Countryman, co-founder of Canine Culture Dog Training, and I'm joined by my wonderful wife, co-founder and head of training, Laura. We also have senior trainer and head of dog evaluations, Wyatt, and lead trainer, Julie. As the leadership team at Canine Culture here in Dallas, Texas, we want to let you in on conversations we as professional dog trainers have, from training, behavioral and emotional issues to health and happiness of your dog. How do these discussions among dog trainers sound? What do we talk about when we're just sitting around talking about dogs, and how do we really think and feel about things all dog related? Our intent really is to give you the ability to be a fly on the wall, and through our dialogue, help you and your dog improve your relationship together, assist in mitigating behavioral issues you may be struggling with, and give you a better understanding of your dog, what motivates them, what fulfills them, how to better communicate with them. Our goal is helping humans have a dog that is a joy to live with. And on this episode, relationship advice from an expert, a dog expert that is, we're going to be having a frank and open discussion about cultivating the right relationship with your dog. And spoiler alert, it is not what most pet parents think, which is probably why you struggle more than you need to in your dog's behavior. From how to establish a healthy relationship, and just like a marriage, how to nurture it. If you're struggling with getting your dog to listen or perhaps respect you, then you are at the right place. And with that, we will dive right into establishing a relationship with your dog. Wyatt, would you like to lead the way? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's my opinion, it's better to start off with the don'ts. Where most people really screw up. It's like parenting. You either over discipline your children or your dog, you under discipline them, or you ignore them. The goal to have a good relationship is you've got to be the parent, the owner first, before you're your best friend with your dog. That'll get there, but it's all a respect thing, because our goal is to be like a parent. You should not be this dictator or jerk or ignore your dogs. But you don't
want to be a pushover.
Yeah, you got to be a parent first. You got to be a dog owner first before you're your best friends, like children.
Yeah.
That's what I think of it. It's really a respect thing. It's very much a give and take. But a lot of people, they want things out of dogs that this is just not going to happen. They're not your surrogate child. They're not going to fill voids in your life. It's a dog. They just want to be a dog.
Yeah.
I personally do a lot of playtime, like an ungodly amount of playtime with both my dogs. They both got to be played with differently. Like they both love to tug, but one likes to wrestle with me a lot more than the other one. The other one's a big licker. Abby will lick the skin off your face. But Pickles is much more, I want to play with you, I want to jump on you.
I also think you need to see where your lifestyle is. So if you want to hike, so we hike with our dogs. We have dogs that are hikers. They can go out with us for 5-6 miles. I jog with my dog for 3 to 9 miles a day, but I got a specific breed, so they are fulfilled in the lifestyle I want them to also have. And we also do, so if you want to be a couch potato, you need to get a couch potato dog. And as you get your dog into be what Wyatt says, your best friend, so they're just hanging with you. You want a best friend that works in your lifestyle, and you have to work on that too. You can't just decide you want your dog to be a couch potato, but then just let them rule the house. They have to have some rules, some boundaries, but also
basically train them how to live with you. I think that's where a lot of people mess up. Dogs don't know how to live with us. We have to teach them how to live with us.
Yeah, and to add to that, I think also the expectations, we have a lot of unrealistic expectations of our dogs, especially
unreasonable as well.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that a lot of pet owners, they just expect their dogs to know so much or to be able to do so much in terms of obedience or living in sync in the home. And they don't realize that they have to put in a lot of time. You have to put in a lot of time to get your dog to a certain place and to understand how he or she is supposed to be living within the home. So a lot of times the expectations is the first thing that I bring up to owners is what are you expecting in order to get that relationship?
A great example of that, Julie, expectations when people talk about potty training issues. Oh my God, my dog's still pottying, and they've had their puppy or a full grown dog for maybe a week or two. And I usually tell them, thank God you're just trying to potty train a dog and not a human child,
Yes.
because it takes a long time to potty train a human child.
God.
If you're just fairly religious and disciplined about following a course with potty training, you can knock it out in about 10 days. You're just training the dog's bladder and internal organs how to operate, and setting up a routine that they can body clock, count on being consistent, and boom, it's done.
And
Yeah.
consistency Q is what's the word? Q, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with potty training or anything else, so probably we'll stay with potty training. You want the dog to know, if they give you whatever cue it is to go outside, that you are going to take them out every time. If you sometimes take them out, sometimes don't, they don't know. So if they have to go, this is a bodily function they have, they can hold it for a while as they get older. But if they don't know, they're gonna go to the bathroom, because it is a bodily function they eventually cannot hold. So you have to be fair with your dog and always be consistent. That's a big thing, is consistency.
And with consistency comes leadership. And that's where, kind of segue on what Wyatt was talking about, I think where a lot of people mess up with the relationship. Yeah, we all love our dogs. We're bonded with them. We just adore them. But at the end of the day, we still need to be their leader, because there must be a leader. And if there's not a void, if there is not a leader, there's a void, and dogs will fill that role. And then that actually makes them feel less secure and less fulfilled, because they are in a role they know they should not be in. We're humans. They do expect us to take the lead for that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difficult part today with pet ownership, and having realistic expectations within that, is that we tend to overlove our dogs. I mean,
Yeah.
even me with my own personal dog, there's a lot of things that I do that I'm like, right now is not the time for me to be doing this.
Right.
But I noticed whenever I see some of the owners that come by and the way that they overlove, over pet, just overdo things with their dogs, you can see that the dog suddenly kind of loses its mindset in terms of, okay, I guess right now is the right time to be just not there, and to be completely just out of the picture and things like that. It's just very interesting. And so leading the love into the leadership, that leadership is very important, to know when is the time to be that leader and when is the time to be that lover, I guess, if you want to put it that way, is very important. And a lot of dog owners don't realize where that balance
Where
is.
that line is.
Yes.
And, I'll have clients ask me in private lessons, is it okay if my dog gets on the couch? Is it okay if my dog sleeps with me? Is it okay? And my answer I give most people is, you have the relationship with your dog that you want to have. Just make sure it's under your rules.
Mhm.
So if you want your dog to sleep with you, that's fine, but make sure they're invited. It's your rule that they're allowed on or off. Don't let them rule the house.
And then
Because
some people think that's mean, that you want to have rules and boundaries, but the dogs love it. They thrive in it. The more
they feel secure.
yeah, more secure. Yeah. Once they know what they're supposed to do, they're happy. They will live in that life and be happy and be awesome dogs for your house.
Well, and to add to that is that some dogs can be just fine even without it. But the problem is when you get the dogs that really thrive off of that lack of structure. And just like you said, they start to take control of everything.
An advantage.
So then suddenly you have that
Think of
dog
a spoiled 7-year-old
that gets
child.
upset whenever
Right.
they're on the couch, and they're mad at you because it's their couch now, or it's
Right.
their
Yeah.
bed, whatever the case is. Whenever you start to slacken all of that, some dogs will take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And it's not like a 7-year-old. These things have teeth, and some of them are very strong. And so it's not like a 5-year-old going on the ground. It's something trying to bite you, bite your friend,
Or just jump up and put a paw on your stomach,
yes,
and you weren't ready for it.
peeing all over your house, wrecking all your furniture. They don't have to be aggressive. They can just chew everything you own, because they're just they don't know, and you have lack of leadership. So that's what they're gonna do.
Well, where most people fail, I think it's the same thing with dogs with children, is that they really, your dog's doing this, like destroying your house.
Mhm.
And the first thought is, oh, if the dog's bad, what's wrong with the dog? You should look at yourself first.
Yes.
Right.
You're causing this. You have a dog. I mean,
Yeah.
you've trained what,
Yeah. If your dog is
hundreds of dogs.
destroying your house, you have given your dog way too much freedom
Yeah.
before they've earned it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we've only ever seen maybe 1 or 2 dogs. You're like, okay, that's a chemical imbalance.
Yes.
You got some bred into you major problems.
Yeah.
The rest of it, it's all fixable.
It's just behavioral.
Yeah,
They
it's all
don't know
behavioral.
what they are and are not.
And
from
even
minute
those
to
two
minute.
dogs, we can teach them how to be live with
Yeah.
and maybe medicate them. But other than that, 99% of dogs, it's all owner problems going on.
It could be behavioral, but it also could be because dogs are emotional creatures. It can be emotional too.
Oh, yeah.
You need to fulfill their emotional needs, and dogs have them. And all dogs have different ones, just like all humans have different emotions.
And that's why leadership's so important.
Yes.
Because if we are not the leader for our dog feels less emotionally secure.
Yeah.
So it's important for behavioral, but also emotional stability for your dog, that somebody's got to be in charge.
Yeah.
It just needs to be that way.
And in the wild, most wolf packs are run by the mom and dad, and everybody else is the baby. So they are in a family unit too. They like it. They strive on it. And dogs like to be, because they're not grown humans, they are kind of like a child. So they like structure.
Yeah, we all do. We typically get up around the same time every day. We
Yeah.
typically go to bed about the same time every day. Dogs thrive on structure just as much as humans. And, another example of where a lot of people will mess up is with small dogs. We tend to coddle them a lot more than your average 50, 60, 70-pound dog. And a prime example is purse dogs. We carry them everywhere. And the problem is when you carry your dog like that all the time, they're never really on the ground, on a leash, out in the world beside you. So they're not going and developing and pushing through natural stresses that a normal dog is going to go through. Something startled them, but they're on the ground. They're going to push through it and figure it out. With little dogs, we tend to coddle them. And that's why you get a lot of dogs that are small, that bark a lot, are very nervous or anxious, insecure, because they never developed any self-confidence because they never
Coping
had to.
skills or
Right.
figuring
I
out.
also think they never learned that there's consequences to your actions.
That's
Right.
true,
It's like
too.
people on Twitter. You say whatever you want. No one's gonna punch you in the face.
Yeah.
Little dog's talking smack the whole time.
Right.
And once it finally picks a fight, mom just saves it and picks it. It's like
Right.
hover parents.
Instead of the other dog kind of snapping at him and say, hey, we don't keyboard warrior around me.
Yeah. Well, typically you do that as a puppy and you'd have an older dog that would teach them manners.
Right.
Not when they're full grown. That's when like dog trainers come in.
Right.
Because they'll actually fight. But definitely as a puppy, you got to let an older dog put them in their place a little bit.
Yeah.
Got to be with a good older dog, but they got to learn some manners from dogs.
Baby talk. Who baby talks their dogs?
Me.
Me.
Me. What?
Sometimes.
Oh, you do too. I
Some-
think.
I heard you with the picklers.
So yes, definitely. But they're our dog. We love them. Of course, we baby talk them. But I don't negotiate with them. When I'm asking them to sit or move out of the way because I got to get through the kitchen doorway to
There's
put
just a
something
time
away.
and place.
Yeah,
There's a time and
exactly.
place.
That's a perfect way to say it. Time and place. Just like your own human children. There's a time and place to, let a little slack happen or be
Yeah.
goofy. And
Because you also should not be so rigid
Rigid, yeah.
and keep your dog in a crate.
Constant.
Constant
Oh.
obedience. Your dog needs to be a dog. Like when
Robot,
you get
yes.
home from work, when I get home from work, first thing I do is take my bra off. First thing a dog wants to do when come home is greet you and give you love. So you just need to live with your dog and not. So some people are very structured with their dog and don't let them be dogs.
Yeah.
And so constant obedience is not fun for a dog.
it's almost like they want to overtrain the spirit or the joy out of their
Drive.
dog.
Well, there's gonna be a lack of fulfillment there.
Yeah.
Because
Yes,
then the
big
dog,
deal.
there's gonna be a lot of things that it's gonna want to be able to do that you're preventing and suffocating them from doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree with that. Constant obedience is definitely not the way to go. In my
Your
mind.
dog's gonna have a midlife crisis and
Mhm.
Right.
freak out.
Yes.
It's
And
gonna,
that can
it's gonna
happen.
blow up eventually.
Yeah.
That's
Because
gonna be bad.
what it is you're trying to mitigate the dog's behavior. You're not fixing the behavior, emotional.
You're covering it.
You're covering it. It's not ever. You need to get in there and figure it out.
Well,
And that's kind of what we do. We're kind of a social workers of dogs or
Yeah.
therapy of dogs.
Well,
figure
it's,
out what's
it's what
wrong
most
with-
people go wrong is they just see all the symptoms their
Yeah.
dog's giving off of the problem.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with like old school dog training. That's the over discipline is it
Yeah.
fixes surface problems.
Right. It doesn't
Like,
address
The dog
issue.
doesn't bark at and lunge at humans anymore. We fixed it, right? No, the dog, you just taught it not to do that behavior. It's going to just wait till the human's close enough and bite them.
Right.
Yes.
You know, you never fix the root problem.
Yeah.
You just all surface level stuff.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of people that are just like, oh, my dog's aggressive. No, your dog's scared, does not know how to deal with a new
Yeah.
stranger.
Right.
And it's a German Shepherd. Its DNA is a when in doubt, bark and lunge.
Yeah.
Problem is the defensive mechanism works. That person goes away and it reinforces that bad behavior.
Yeah.
But it does go back to that leadership thing. Is not if I'm calm, you should be calm.
Yeah.
It should really look to me for guidance. It goes back to that whole relationship thing.
And that's also when you're looking for a trainer, that they do the obedience, but they also have a follow-up or group class of somewhat, so help you become the leader of your dog. Because because a dog goes through, say, a 3 or 4 week board and train, you know nothing, because the person did not train you. So now we gotta train you because you need to know what you need to know, because you don't know, because the dog's in training. So that's when you're looking for something, make sure there's a follow-up and not just a one-on-one. It's better if it's like a group class thing. So you're around other dogs, so you can learn how to mitigate all the other things that come up in a safe space in a group class.
Because for any training, for it to really be effective, the owner has to increase their skill level as well.
Because if you think about
They
it,
have one without the other.
if you get a seeing eye dog, they're in training for the first 1.5 to 2 years of their life in a facility. First, they go to they go somewhere, get trained up, then they go to facility. But then when you go there, they're going to train the blind person how to do that. And they do a lot of follow-ups and they're out there. So think about that when you're thinking if you're sending your dog to a 3-week board train, it's magically fixed.
Right.
It's not magically fixed.
Or magically a service dog. That takes so much time.
This could lead to another topic we could discuss really quick, is how dog training isn't, it doesn't matter how good of a trainer you are at training the dog. If you don't know how to train people,
Yes.
Right.
you're not going to be able
You
to
only train half the
relay-
equation.
Right.
Yeah.
And we
exactly.
get that all the time.
You actually didn't train the most important part of the
Yeah.
equation.
The leader.
Yeah, the leader, because if you're not a leader, your dog's just gonna go right.
Yeah,
back
why
to
should
what
they
it was
follow
doing.
rules if you as the adult don't even know how to enforce or what the rules
Right.
are? They're not
Right.
gonna, they're a little kid. They're not gonna do it.
Of course they are. They're animals. There's just like, least resistance. I don't know how that's.
Path of least
Yeah, there
resistance.
you go.
That's probably my biggest frustrating part is once in a while, we'll have a client that wants us they'll do a lengthy board and train with the intent that basically
It'll just be
they
fixed.
don't have to
Yeah.
increase their skills. That's really just not fair to the dog, and it's not possible
No.
because we're basically asking us to train their dog to be the leader. That would be like me sending a 7-year-old to school and telling the 2nd or 3rd grade teacher, this month, I want you to teach my child how to problem solve and negotiate, pay bills. I want them to come home and be the parent so I can just live a
Yeah.
happy life. If I can't do that with a human in a month, I sure can't do that with a dog in a month. So, yeah,
I mean, that's why we do a minimum of 2 months, once a week group class after the formal training.
Yeah.
right.
And that is purely just to get you guys on the same sheet of music.
Yep.
It takes, because you gotta build a habit. Us humans, it's hard to make us do habits.
Right.
Another habit it helps you do is get out of your house at least once a week and actually go somewhere
With your dog,
Yes.
do something fun.
Yeah.
Your dog loves it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it becomes a kind of a hobby for you and your dog to do.
Yeah, no matter if you have a Pomeranian or a German Shepherd, they love to get out and smell that, and that does endorphins in their brain. They want to seek and look and smell and do everything fun that you like to do. So. I think
Well, and
it's-
especially if you've got a dog with anxiety, 9 times out of 10, the human has anxiety.
Yeah.
Yes.
So getting out and more with your dog will help you with your anxiety, but
Yes.
you got to fix yourself to fix your dog.
Yeah.
Right.
You
Yeah.
can fix each other at the same
Yeah,
time.
there
I
you go.
know Abby made me get out a lot more.
Yes.
'Cause I was a pretty much way introvert when we first in
Right,
Florida
right.
with Abby.
Yeah.
But it does make owners get out more to get their dogs out more, because it's when you start off, it's like a negative feedback loop.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
we had a tussle at a dog park. Let's never go to dog parks anymore.
Yeah.
You try to fight a dog through a fence, we're gonna do walks less and then less. You're
Yeah.
getting, it's like people with crippling depression.
Right.
You're tired because you're depressed all the time.
You're
so you go out
avoiding,
less and you
escaping
avoid your
avoidance,
problems,
yeah.
and they get worse and worse and worse.
Instead of just addressing the issue and
Yep.
pushing
Moving
through
on
it.
with your life.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that, Julie? No, nailed it.
Yep.
We're good.
All right. I guess we wrapped that subject up. Yeah, the human equation is the biggest struggle. I always find that the dog equation is the easiest one. They want to learn, they thrive to learn.
Oh yeah,
They enjoy the
we-
heck out of learning.
we retrain dogs have been trained other places all the time. The dogs were smart. They were not bad dog trainers.
Right.
They just never taught the humans in what, 3,
Yeah.
4
We're
hours
training a
lesson. No
dog
one's
right
gonna
now
remember
that
that.
had gone to
Yeah.
3 other dog
But
trainers.
sometimes there's also, we've had owners who have come in and who have said their dogs have been trained before. And really what it came down to is that the owners still did not do whatever they were told by the
Yeah.
previous training
Correct.
facility.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm
So
not.
it's not always
yeah,
about.
I'm not saying they did a bad job.
Oh,
I'm
no,
saying
no,
they
I
trained the
agree with that
dog usually
100%
pretty
too.
well,
Yeah.
and they might have said all the right things to the
Right.
owner, but
And-
they didn't have some structure in their own program to actually teach the person.
And the problem with a lot of training facilities is they just look at the obedience. They don't look at the dog as a whole.
Yeah, the
They're not
fulfillment,
trying
the
to fulfill the
experience,
dog,
the
yeah.
enrichment.
It's just
Yeah.
all, I just know one dog we just had recently, it went to a training thing. They taught that dog the coolest thing to heel as they walk sideways. That dog would not go outside on a leash.
It
When
was
it got here,
terrified of the
that dog was
outside.
scared of
Oh my God.
everything. By
Yeah.
the end of this, it was swimming in the pool, running in the park, because we've dealt with what, like Wyatt said, what was the issue, not a surface thing. Because we could have put
True
that dog,
obedience.
yeah,
Right.
we could have put the dog in any field here and worked it, and it would have been the same dog. It wouldn't
Phenomenal.
have, but yeah,
But take it outside, and
It's-
it was just
yeah.
petrified of the
So
world. And
that's what-
obviously that
yeah.
dog still has a ways to go, but at least now he can get outside with
And
his
the
mom and
owners can
start
now work on it,
exploring
yeah.
the world.
And realistically, all this is just a means to an end. Obedience training. We just want to give you that awesome, confident, happy, normal dog. You can do what you want to do with your lifestyle. Obedience just gets you there.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. That's how I explain obedience to everybody. I just use the structure and skills the dog learns through obedience
Mhm.
to provide it windows or snapshots, images of the behaviors we'd like to see in all environments. Because ultimately, what most of our clients want is a well-behaved, well-mannered dog. Of course, they want their dog to come when we call them, sit when we ask them to sit, but mostly we just don't want our dog being a freak. Be
Yeah.
well-mannered, be polite. The problem is those are both concepts, and it's not possible to train a concept to a dog because it's a concept. So we just use the visual pictures of the obedience and the context and different
They want a dog that they can
environments.
trust.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
When someone comes over, they're just fine. They're just chilling and just, they don't have to worry about them barking,
Right.
about them doing. And
not jumping on
And I don't
them.
want people to think this every day with your dog till they die, you have to do all this work with them. Eventually, it's just a little bit, and as you live, you can just watching TV and work with your dog a little bit.
It
or
goes back
just-
to what you said earlier, being consistent.
Yeah,
Don't keep changing the rules
Yeah.
and allow a behavior that tomorrow you don't want
Yeah.
to see, because now you're setting your
Yeah.
dog up to fail. You're
Yeah.
literally tricking him into making mistakes. Just be
Right.
consistent. What's always allowed is always allowed. What's never allowed is never
Never
allowed.
allowed. Yeah.
Yeah, and great point. It's not, oh, I got to train my dog for an hour a day.
No.
No, just live with your dog and
Yeah.
be consistent. That is.
Well, if you
training.
specifically want to do homework, I mean, you should probably be walking your dog at least once a day, if not twice a day.
Oh, yeah.
Those walks can be training time.
Right.
Most
Yeah.
people already are setting aside the correct amount of time. They're just inefficient about it and
Yeah.
not taking advantage of those training opportunities.
Right.
Most people, you don't have to change anything in your lifestyle except what you do in that time already set
Yeah.
aside.
Right. 5 or 10 minute training session after your
Yeah.
dog's trained.
After
I
your
remember
After it's trained,
I told
yeah.
an owner once, you already know your dog eats twice a day, so why don't you just make them work for their food?
Yep.
And their mind were blown.
Right.
They were just
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness, that's right, I could do that.
Yeah, we do some work for our paychecks, right?
Or
I
like
mean,
a structured playtime. I'm gonna make you
Yeah.
sit and stay. I'm gonna throw your ball, tell you to get it, tell you to come back, tell you to drop it. My dog does not care how fetch happens.
Yeah,
He
he
just
as
doesn't.
long
wants
as you're
fetch.
Yeah.
catching the ball.
But he
Sorry
can
about
also
pickles.
learn, pickles. It's
Yeah.
also, he can learn all the obedience while he's doing it. And he gets
Right.
better at it. And it's all the game to him. Everything
Yeah,
is going to be a
everything's
game to
game.
that dog.
That, yeah, the more you can gamify
Yeah, I like that
reinforcing
word.
training, the happier your dog is and the
Yeah.
funnier it is. It's not that I want to make my dog sit. I want my dog to want to sit
Yeah.
when I say sit.
It's all about motivation.
Right.
Well, it's like
And
pickles. Once
Game
you,
and play helps that motivation that they want to do it. They don't feel compelled to do it.
well, I know our dogs,
Mhm.
George, Abby, Pickles, Lincoln, once they realize, when I'm off leash, I've just got to come back when mom and dad tells me to.
Yep.
If I
Yeah.
come back to them, that's the only rule. You come back to me 100% of the time when I ask you, I'll let you do whatever you want.
Right.
Yeah.
Go to
But
the
that
water,
dependable
chase
recall
thing.
gets you a lot of freedom in the world.
Yeah.
Yes.
No dependable recall, you're not going to have much freedom at all
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I can't depend on you coming back.
Yeah.
Well, here's a question, Julie. What kind of dog do you have?
I have a golden retriever.
And how old is your
He
golden
is
retriever?
about to be 5 in December.
5 in
Yes.
December. How long have you had him?
Since he was 8 weeks.
And
Baby.
his
Yeah.
name is
Buddy.
Buddy.
With an IE.
with an IE, Buddy, the cream-colored gold retriever.
That's right.
He is
Wow.
the sweetest
He is a
dog.
sweetheart.
He's a sweet
You
dog.
don't have a mean bone.
No.
And,
The beluga
and we all
boy.
learned you cannot feed Buddy treats. Oh Lord,
That's
don't
right.
give him a
Or
treat.
he'll explode.
He will have a bowel movement that is not fun.
Yeah,
Um,
no, it won't.
He needs
Pretty sure.
Speaking of consistency,
I'm-
Buddy needs consistency in his
Yeah.
diet.
I'm pretty sure he creates thrust when he does that.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
Lord.
Crazy. And Wyatt, what kind of dogs do you have?
I've got a boxer pit named Abby. She's 9 now. And a husky pit. We think's probably about 2 years old now.
He's mixed in with a little
He was
crazy.
he was the
Yeah.
one that
Yeah.
someone found on the street.
He's a street
and-
dog.
He's a
Yeah.
street dog. Yeah, he never made it to a shelter or anything like that. I went and
Right.
got him from someone's house. And yeah, he's awesome, but he's a lot. He's a pit bull husky Akita
Yes.
thing.
Akita.
mix.
Yeah.
He's
That
fun.
explains a lot why.
It does
Yeah.
explain a lot.
Explains a lot. And that is important. Everybody should know what their dog's breed is. If you haven't done a DNA,
It'll help.
it'll help you not be frustrated if you're trying to remove a DNA driven behavior your dog was just born with. Could you mitigate it? Sure, but at a certain point, some dogs are a herding dog is going to want to herd.
herd.
Well,
You
and some
so
mutts
play
you
with
have-
balls with that dog. Play to the strength of what
Yeah.
that dog's driven to do.
And some mutts are a breed that don't look like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Pickles, I had no idea what that dog was. He looks
Basenji.
French.
Right.
It's
right.
not Basenji, no.
And those DNA tests are fairly inexpensive
Yeah.
and they're fairly accurate.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah, surprisingly accurate.
Knowing the DNA is important.
Well, what
Kind of
flavor dogs do you guys
So
have?
we have our Georgie, who's 10. He is a Carolina Blue Heeler mix. And he's the one that chases. He has herding in him. So he loves balls. He's a ball dog.
He's obsessed.
He's an awesome dog.
He sleeps with his balls. He loves balls.
And he's the one I ran with. And then we have Lincoln through the DNA. We know he's a mostly Dutch Shepherd with some Belgium in him.
Belgian Shepherd.
And
Yeah.
he loves the ball. He loves tug. He's
He
a tug
loves
dog.
tug. He lives for tug.
Lives for tug. And the other one, last one, is a little 1-year-old silver lab. Who's a lab, loves food.
Loves food. Lord.
She's
Never
a
had
lover.
a food motivated dog like that before in my life. Like,
Dolly,
wow, this is what this is. This is
Yeah,
crazy.
Dolly tries with all her little heart to
Yeah.
do everything.
Yeah.
She's just
She's a lab.
she's just a silver lab.
Labs are awesome, but they're labs.
Well,
What?
and I have my
Yeah.
little Morky too.
Oh yeah, you forgot about
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't forget about him. It's just, he's a little old man.
Right,
He's
right.
9 years old. He's a little Morky, Maltese Yorkie mix.
What's his
and
name?
What's his
His
name?
name's Whoopi.
Whoopi?
Yes.
That's an army term.
Yes, it sure is.
So that means you
my
were in the
wife
army.
said that the Whoopi saved her when she was in training, so she wanted to call her first.
Pretty sure the
dog
Whoopi has
Yeah.
saved all of us at least once.
Yes. See, you understand.
I've pretty
Yeah.
much slept through a tornado in one of those things. Nope, not coming out.
That's a throwback to the army, the Whoopi. Well, if you enjoyed this podcast, we do want to invite you to connect with us on our website, k9culture.com. That's k-9culture.com. And you can go ahead and click on contact and enter your dog training goals on our contact form. Or maybe you just have a question and you'd like us to answer on an upcoming podcast. Go ahead and send it over on our contact form and we'll cover them on an upcoming podcast. Be sure to mention podcast in the comments. That way it gets sent to one of the 4 of us so we can handle that. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok and see all the wonderful souls that we get to spend our days with. Next week on the human training your dog is begging you for, we'll be discussing whether your dog is fulfilled. Or is it just exhausted? What does fulfill your dog? A lot of people have that wrong. Lack of fulfillment actually is, I believe, the biggest cause of behavioral and emotional issues in dogs. There is a big difference between being fulfilled and being exhausted. Unfortunately, most behavioral problems trainers and owners are trying to address, they're using a job or work, as we mentioned, to try to fix it. You can't work a dog into fulfillment. Fulfillment's a state of mind. It's really a state of being. And we're going to dissect that, break it down into the 5 components your dog needs to be fulfilled. If you need help with your dog, we'd love to help. Connect with us at k9culture.com. Enter the challenges you're having with your dog and your training goals on our contact form, and we'll reach out and discuss your dog and how we may be able to help you have a dog that is a joy to live with. And join us next week. And until then, go have fun with your dog.
Bye.
Bye.